Thursday morning, get your paint on, come paint with me, yeah! Hello, everybody. My name is Dallas Kemp here at Privateer Press, and this is Get Your Paint On, woo! The weekly painting show where every Thursday morning at 10 a.m. you are joining us live from the studio here at Privateer Press HQ for painting your miniatures and hobby wackiness. Welcome aboard. With me today is the esteemed, prestigious, and I'm trying to think of another big word to be apropos for usage upon you.
Exemplary
Matt Getz.
Hey, good morning, Dallas.
This is two in a row.
This is 2 in a row, man. I'm not going to sing, though, so that's on you.
All right, that's cool.
You got to do the singing for both of us.
I will sing for the pair of us. I will duet as a solo.
What are you painting? Like, I know what it is, but why don't you tell us?
I'm painting Holden. Also with us on the control mixer on the board with the controls and the beat boxes and the boop beeps is Mr. John Swinkles. Hello, John.
beep boop.
Beep boop. Biddly doop. Biddly scoop. Biddly doop boop. Skiddly doop. Skiddly doop. Skiddly doop.
I mean, you almost started singing Rockin' Robin. Almost.
Tweedly doop.
So close.
Woo. Tweedly doop. Tweedly doop. Woo. Tweedly doop. That's not protected by laws, is it? I can just sing that song. It's like
Not the
free
way
usage.
you were doing it, no.
Yeah.
I think it might be against some law.
I just broke laws. I was like, you ruined my song. Who sang that? I don't even remember.
Rockin' Robin? Dude, don't look at me. I wasn't around in the 50s.
Yeah, but
You weren't
that
around in the
doesn't-
1700s. That doesn't stop you.
Yeah, this is why I'm looking in your general direction.
All right.
All right. So, yeah, I'm painting Mr. Holden, or the hollowest of Holdens, or the Holden of Hollows. The new Grimkin weapon attachment for the Hollow Men unit. He's pretty dope.
So it looks like you did some custom conversion onto his rifle there.
I did because. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask, is he going to be a part of the Ember Host?
He is part of the Ember Host.
Nice.
I'm painting him up for my army. This is not the studio one. This is from my army. So I sculpted the green fire over. He's got some runes up here, right? So if you remember last year, Matt Wilson concepted this guy at Lock and Load with the help of our community, and that was pretty awesome. And he has like some runes on top of his gun. This guy's a weapon attachment for the Hollow Man unit. But instead of the runes, I added the green fire to match my Ember Host. So I sculpted the little fire. Burn, 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 blaze, blaze, blaze. So yeah, that's what we're doing.
So I think the Ember Host is my favorite color scheme for the Hollow Man. Like, so much so that you and I managed to sneak them into the official Grimkin book.
Yeah,
as one of our variant themes.
They're like a semi-official, like, somethings.
I mean, from where I stand, they're completely official,
canon.
right?
That's canon.
Yeah. Have you talked about the backstory for the Ember Host? Like, sort of what inspired you to do that fire?
Yeah, I mean, I've done it a couple times. I've talked about it, like how I like having narrative. I'm sorry, I'm not painting. I thought I pulled out Cardic Flesh, but I guess I didn't. So I'm going to improvise. I've talked a little bit about how in my head I have to create stories. I like having a little story about my little army mans. And for the Ember Host, I imagine the heretic going around and stealing Minos' fire, right, and turning it against those against the Grimkin, against humanity. Right, and you've expounded upon that, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. So we've kind of created this little narrative, and now with Holden here, I kind of wanted to add him to the party.
So how much does that narrative that you come up with inform the color decisions you're making?
Like quite a bit. I try to think about like what. I'm gonna put on my time goggles here. Got my time goggles on today. I'm getting old. Getting old. I try to think about like, well, what does that mean? So like the green fire, right? Like the green fire was a choice that took me several weeks to make, right? It was like, well, if the heretic is corrupting fire and turning it, he's like taking the gift of fire from man that Minoth gave, right? What does that mean? Would the fire be purple? Would I want purple like the regular Grimkin glow is? Or do I want to do something different? And I went through several iterations, finally settling on the green because I felt like it added to the, what's the word I want?
Aesthetic.
Not this, not necessarily the aesthetic, but the like the corruption, the taint, Gets, help me with a word here.
Sort of the undermining of that
Yeah.
concept of Menoth.
Yeah, the fire is warm and safe, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so going the opposite of that to a cold, unforgiving, sickly green, you know, something that feels like it's taking life away instead of giving life like fire does. So I settled on the green. So I think my story kind of informs a lot of my color choices.
Well, I asked because when you were talking about how you're kind of going to let the muse take you wherever with this Holden model, you went with the traditional trencher gravedigger denim for the coat.
I was joking about the muse. I don't have a muse.
But I was just curious, like, how much of your choices are in the moment, like when you have the model in your hand, versus how many you kind of study over and consider more deeply, like you just described. So,
I think the broad strokes I think about, and then the little strokes I don't. Does that make sense? I just kind of like, well, I kind of want to do this, and this is the idea. All right, so what does that mean? And then when it comes down to the nitty gritty, I get pretty just grab paints and make them work, right? I've always felt like the muse is just a code word for procrastination. I was just like, I'm waiting for the muse. Nah, you're waiting on dinner. You just want to relax.
Dinner is my muse.
That's a fair point as well. Call me anything you want, just don't call me late for dinner.
Right.
So Spellspark, this is the Hollow Holden model. It's a new Grimkin weapon attachment for the Hollow Men unit that was part of the Crossroads of Courage League last year. The fate of this model was determined at the Battle of Boar's Gate at Lock and Load. It was either going to be a Grimkin hunting merc unit that was sort of cursed to forever go to war against the Grimkin, or what you see here, somebody who's been taken by the Defiers and turned into a kind of a weapon for them and a warning against people who would oppose them.
That's what I love about the Grimkins. It's like that. It's such cool tones to this army, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
well, it was really a challenge too, because like if you look at them, they're a very diverse range, right?
yes.
And one of the first puzzles about Hollow Men and piggybacks and dreadrots and all that, like, is figuring out sort of conceptually what it is that united all of them. And that idea of people sort of exploiting others and what those punishments might be derived from. That's really one of the starting points of coming up with how they are cohesive.
Right,
you know?
the sins, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Same kind of challenges actually in when we were doing the color concepts and the palette for painting the studio models is how do you take, you know, this unit that is obviously trenchery, right? And then you make it look like an army next to giant pigs riding imps next to, you know, something like as terrifying as the Frightmare. How do you tie that all together? Right, and so, wow, we're really getting into Grimkin. It's been a year.
Yeah, it's been a while.
We're just touching back on the Grimkin.
No, and I remember talking with you a little bit about some of the color choices that were made there and how you kind of kept going back to like natural colors and lower saturation colors and stuff like that to just kind of give them something to time all together.
It was like just keeping everything very neutral, very natural tones,
Hmm.
very desaturated. Everything in the army got desaturated, and I think we pulled it off.
Well, it's interesting too because there's like some nice pops of
On that
color,
solid skin.
despite all the lower saturation colors. Right, you still have like the piggy purple ink that is really concentrated and just vibrant.
Yeah, it's like ultraviolet in a bottle.
Yeah, exactly. And seeing that glowing out of the Dreadrot's eyes and mouth, or popping out of the eyes of the Frightmare or something, like it gives you kind of a focal point for your eye to land on, and it reminds me of like monster eyes glowing in the darkness.
Right. Yeah. And then you have the poppy orange colors, and a touch of reds that we get from the pumpkins or the tongue of. A really good example is when Brendan painted the Gorehound.
Hmm.
Like the poppy orange tongue was, super standout element on that model. So just using those pop colors to tie everything together was kind of cool too.
You've seen my Grimkin, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. You got a little Grimkin Force for Company of Iron.
I do. And I was sort of trying to follow the aesthetic of what I've seen with the studio models, where you have that vibrant color offset by the more muted tones. And that's why I've got that really bold red on all of my Murder Crows. Just trying to figure out a way to bring in some of that vibrancy while maintaining everything else at kind of that lower key level.
Yeah, the underside of the cloak works really good as a vibrant red, right? Because I imagine those. We did that with the studio as well. It's like I imagine those like being like clad in black, right, hiding,
Right.
and then they go to attack, and you get that flash of red,
Right.
before they strike.
Like the really elaborate South American birds that just look like a normal bird, then suddenly their wings open up and you've got the
Caw-caw!
intense colors. Yeah.
Delicious.
Jeff Handley's cat got into his paints while he was at work today.
Oh no.
That I hope there are paints, because ours are non-toxic.
Yeah, ours are
Oof.
not toxic. I feel bad for your brushes.
Lost over $200 in brushes.
Ah.
Well, cat's got fur. New brushes.
Yeah.
Shay, I make it look so easy. You're terrible at painting. You base coat and then move on. Patience, practice, perseverance. Shay, get in there and try some new techniques. It's not as hard as you think.
And that's one thing I really enjoy watching the painting videos that you and Brendan put up, because I am also not confident about my skill in painting. Confidence is part of it, right? But just sort of seeing the techniques that you guys use and watching you paint, like it instills a little bit of like sympathetic confidence in me. Like,
Oh, that's sweet. Thank you. Well, that's the goal, Matt. It's like, I'm not here to be the best painter in the world. I'm not trying to be the number one painter ever. You can't win at art, right?
right.
I just want to help people become the painters they want to be. So, if I can inspire somebody to pick up that brush and just give it a go for a little while, and just keep pushing past those plateaus, like I always tell people, you know what a plateau is, right? You've experienced those with your endeavors, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
I've learned to embrace the plateau, right? That plateau, that just means you're on the brink of learning something,
Yeah.
right? Because there's only one way to go after a plateau, and that's up.
Yeah, there's a really interesting experience when you hit that sort of frustration point when you first get to the plateau, and it could be with painting or writing or shooting molds or anything, right? Where that's really the trial of, are you going to get better or not, right? Like the only way that you will actually achieve forward progress when you hit that point is to just push through the pain,
Yep.
you know?
Pain is temporary, art is forever.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so easy to give up. Like if you hit a rough spot in a story, or you're not presently satisfied with your painting, like giving up is the easiest thing in the world.
Yep.
But actually, taking your punches and going through, that's where you actually start to see some real progress.
I completely agree, sir. That's why we get along so good. We're both people that like believe in the perseverance part of that, right?
Yeah.
It's like the perseverance, like it is easy to give up. It's easy to go like, you know what, I'm never going to be as good as that guy, or oh, this is really hard and I just can't quite get my blends right. A, never compare yourself to other people. Always compare yourself only to your last piece of work. And B, like, it is hard. You know, some things are hard, but if you just keep going, it becomes easier and easier and easier and easier.
Yeah, like you will perform trivially the things that used to be like incredible challenges for you.
Remember, kids, walking used to be hard for everybody. That's true, though, right?
Legit.
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 Walking was hard.
Yeah.
Sleeping was hard. Eating was hard. Everything was hard before.
If you ask Hungerford, sometimes walking still is hard.
Well, math is hard for him.
I just expect to hear him stomping down the hallway now.
Oh, I don't like math. Well, I don't either.
Yep.
So my question is, so narrative, right?
Yeah.
I'm a big narrative guy. Should I make my Holden look like he was part of the Filthy Five?
Like he was originally part of them, and then he's been corrupted.
Yeah.
So now and you have one person on your squad who's still trying to redeem him.
It's like, oh, Holden, come back. And it's just like, Holden is lost to us, my man. He's just like, I believe in you, Holden.
So
100% yes.
yeah, I'm into that.
Do you think
Because then
that
you
works?
have crossover between the Filthy Five and your Grimkin
And my
squad.
Grimkin squad, yeah. All right, so I'm going to grab some Ember Orange. Wait, I can't remember. Does anybody remember? Was it Hearthfire? It's Ember Orange.
It's Ember Orange.
Does anybody remember? I don't remember.
I think you highlighted with Hearthfire.
This is my this is my painting. Like, I don't think about colors. I just do. So,
We have a technical question about blacks, Dallas.
ooh, I love technical questions about anything.
Alec Luda asks, I'm
Hello,
working on my
Alec.
second unit of deliverers. They're supposed to be mostly in black and gray colors because they are a night ambush unit. Goes back to them being inaccurate, so why not shoot at night? So I'm working with black and gray. How do you give the feeling of a dead of night feel on a brightly lit table?
Your whole army has to look like that. Like, your whole army has to look like that. It's all about, if you want dimly lit army in the night, like Night Stalker, Ambusher, like Special Ops dudes, you really need to play with directional lighting sources. And so you need one side of the model, like not just the back, but like one side of the model, be very dark and very shadowed with blue colors, and then the other side highlighted and with very muted blue tones over top of all the other. It's super complex. But if you're willing to give it a go, that's what you want. But you need the whole army to look like it. If one squad on a table is the night squad, it's just gonna look odd. Just gonna look odd.
So
to
in
me.
I can't remember if it was in the Mark II books or not, but I think there was like how to paint the Moros from Retribution. Has that kind of bluish black tint to it.
It is, but you really want the whole army to look like that, because
Right, but I was saying as an example of how to achieve that effect and then replicate across your army.
like Moros is very black, just straight black, which you can do, but it needs color in there.
So I was actually going to ask, because I love crows and ravens, right? And if you look at them in the light, they've got this kind of luster.
Iridescent.
Yeah. So one thing that I've started doing with my blacks is glazing them in like a really, really subtle purple or green or blue.
Oh,
just,
yeah.
Just to add a little bit of that like variation.
Well, and you
into
did
it.
that with your murder crows, didn't you, Dallas?
Yeah.
So if people go back and find to get your paint on where you're painting your murder crows, that's probably not a bad place to start.
Sure. What were you using, Matt?
Just really, really thin down ink.
Like the turquoise inks and the
Yeah, greens, blues. I've tried it with red, but I haven't had a lot of success with that.
I would avoid the red.
Like basically just stick to the cool palette.
Yeah, because that iridescent black is definitely more your cool colors. And if you wanted to go red, I would more lean into purples instead of just straight red, I think.
Sure.
Piggy purple ink.
Yeah.
God, piggy purple ink, dude,
It's
is
so much work done.
so much work done. Such a damn good color. Whoever made that color needs a pat on the back.
Yeah.
Who made that color, Dallas?
Well, he deserved a pat on the back.
Who was it?
I'm not telling.
So on behalf of Dallas, I'm going to say you're welcome, Alec. He's got his time goggles on right now, so I don't know if he's able to see the chat too well.
Oh yeah, I got time goggles on because I'm painting around the camera, and I'm trying some new angles today. Like everybody, if you're new or if you're not new to the chat, you know, Brendan and I struggle with the camera in our face, but it's part of the fun. So this is part of the process. So we're trying some new angles. So I'm not quite looking at the chat as much as I normally would.
Yeah. So Dallas, is the Filthy Five are part of the Caspian jailbirds, right?
See,
Or are they just kind of similar to
I think
that?
they were. They were. The Filthy Five was definitely based off the Caspian jailbirds when we did the color concept for that.
Yeah.
I was definitely like, yes, that's awesome. I want to do that, right? And then I didn't really think of them as being part of the Caspian jailbirds, but I don't see why they couldn't be,
Sure.
right? I just wanted the Filthy Five. Like I like alliterations. I like anti-heroes. I like
The A-Team.
A-Team. I like 80 action flicks. So that was all based off just those loves.
80s action flicks are the best action flicks.
That is absolutely accurate. I don't think anything has ever topped the 80s when it comes to action flicks.
I feel like back in the 80s when it came to action flicks, we were willing to just do much weirder stuff.
Well, we didn't have all the CG.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, it had to be practical effects.
Yeah, you'd have, Ninja 3 The Domination with a really, really cheap helicopter prop.
Jesus!
What? I love that movie.
Deep in. I love it. Thank you.
Shokasugi? Come on, man. Basically anything that Menachem Golan helped to produce.
Skate ninjas.
Oh, dude.
Gleaming the Cube. Not an action movie,
Airborne?
but still. Oh,
Airborne?
rad.
Rad. Like, there used to be a lot of wheel-themed 80s, like, pseudo-action flicks.
Dude, speaking of wheel theme things, everybody was making fun of me the other day down in the studio because I brought up the MTV La Run.
I don't know it.
Oh my god, it's basically a unicycle with training wheels. And when I
Okay.
was 10, I wanted one so bad. It just looked like so much fun. It's just Google the MTV La Run and just watch the video for that commercial. It's magic.
So, no lie, Dallas, on my drive into work every morning, I go through Soto down by, like, the Duwamish River where there are semi-trucks. And there's this one woman, and I can tell she's going to work every day.
Okay.
Because she's got, like, the shoulder bag on and everything. And she is on a unicycle.
That's amazing.
She's like taking the bike path on a unicycle. That woman, though she baffles me, is also sort of my hero.
Because you want to unicycle into work every day?
No, just the confidence.
The
Just the confidence. And it's just like painting, right?
look at the
one point-
audacity of that
that
woman.
woman's audacity is amazing. No, at one
I
point,
like your
man,
moxie, kid.
she probably wasn't too good at the unicycle. But she resolved that she was going to unicycle into work every day.
That's right.
She pushed through the pain to be able to make it to downtown Seattle on a mono-wheeled conveyance.
Never give up. Never surrender. Yeah, I mean, that's what it's all about. Right there. See, it's all about that. It's all about getting in there and making your dreams come true. Whatever they may be. Whatever they may be. Doesn't matter what they are. But you got to do the work. You got to put in the time. You got to put in the effort. You got to take your lumps. You got to take that beating. You got to fail. The best lessons are learned from failures. Isn't that right, Zane?
Master Wayne, why do we fall down?
Dude, right? That's a funny meme and joke. But honestly, like, it's so powerfully true. In my opinion.
Yeah. So I actually have a question about painting techniques when it comes to models like Holden. So ostensibly, you're going to be putting Holden in a full unit of Hollow Men. And a lot of people, when they have a unit, they batch paint them, right?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. So would you paint Holden to a higher standard because he's a character and he's got all that extra detail? Or would you try to paint him to the same standard so he fits within the look of the rest of the unit?
Man, that's a really good question. I'm probably going to give him a little extra love. I do believe characters deserve characters, very specifically characters, deserve a little extra love. Especially like really cool model characters like this one. This is just a very cool model, sculpted by our very own Mr. Nathan Lombardi, who did a fantastic job. Concepted by Mr. Matt Wilson, who always does a fantastic job. Suck up. I'm not.
You've got a little umber on your nose there.
On my nose?
Yeah.
Oh, got it.
Man, that was an oblique reference. Anyway, you were saying.
Anyways, yeah. So I always give my characters I give my characters a little extra attention. They deserve it, right? Especially cool models. Even though he's part of a unit.
Just making things for something like Company of Iron in general, because then everyone kind of becomes a character, even if they're like a regular squad model.
Wait, can I put Holden in my Filthy Five?
Why not?
Oh no, he's a weapon attachment.
Yeah.
I can do what I want.
I mean, you could bribe Oz with a cookie, and you'll be able to play.
Or
Holden.
Realistically, Dallas, if you and I sit down and play a game, I'm gonna be like, yeah, of course you can.
I'm gonna put Holden in my.
However, given his stat line, I'm dropping your hand size by 1.
That gives me a hand size of 1.
Nice.
Well, it depends if you still have Finch in there.
Finn,
So-
Maxwell Finn.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy's just always going to be in there.
Vanda Beast was suggesting that if you're painting Grimkin, there's nothing better than Black Sabbath's Paranoid. War Pigs, Paranoid, Fairies Wear Boots. That's one way to go.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, that's not the way I went.
That's not the way I went either. Like, not painting my models, but when I was writing the book, I went some weird places with my music.
Record Siren was asking when Holden comes out. I don't have the exact date just yet.
I'm sure we could get that date before the end of this show.
It has not been put on the schedule, but I have yet. I checked. So I'm going to imagine early fall, late summer.
Will Sheck,
He's in a meeting.
He's in a meeting right now.
is he in a meeting?
Mm-hmm.
So what do you normally listen to when you paint, Dallas? Like, what is your groove music?
Man, that's a. Have you been to one of my paint jams?
Mastodon.
No, I haven't.
You haven't? You should come to one of my paint jams. I have a crap load of music, and I usually just put it on random. And my tastes are pretty, I wouldn't say the most eclectic, but I definitely think fairly eclectic. So I go from everything from like disco to 80s metal to like heavy metal to pop to punk to just noise to like I like a diverse collection of music. Country, certain country music I really enjoy. So
Nothing made after 1989 for me if it's country.
No, man. Core Blonde, the Hurtin' Albertan. He's after. Dude, you need to listen to the album Horse Soldier. I'm not kidding.
he's not joking.
It is a good album.
As long as it's not pop country.
No, of course not.
No.
Dude, it's me.
There's nothing pop about Matt Getz.
No, typically not. But you never know when that rye thing's going to get in there.
Sure.
Like,
No.
if you're going to get pop from somebody, you're going to get pop from me.
Well, no, and Roxy just said, dude, Core Blonde. So
Yeah.
now it's legit.
So just to let you know, one of the songs on that album is basically a first-person history of mounted combat throughout time.
Your wife beat you to it.
Yeah, I see that.
Horse Soldier.
Horse Soldier. Yeah.
Horse Soldier.
Jason
Graphic.
Craze. Jason, get motivated, my man. I hung out with Jason at Kingdom Con last week, and he's a super awesome guy. And dude, get painting. Come on. That's your motivation. That's just me yelling at you.
So, who was it you were painting against in the 2-hour?
Bryce. I'm sorry, Bryce, if you're watching. Bryce Cole. I can't pronounce it. I can't remember his last name. Oh darn it! I'm the worst. I'm so sorry. But Bryce. So I told a couple people that I was going to do a challenge. I was do a 2-hour painting challenge on a Sorcerer bust, which is my third Sorcerer bust. Holy cow! And a couple people suggested that I go against Bryce, and Bryce was like very into the idea because Bryce considers himself a very slow painter and apparently is a very slow painter. Not from the results, but from his own accounts. So we did a 2-hour. We had 2 hours to paint a Sorcerer bust, and he did fantastic. And at the end of it, I gave him my Sorcerer bust for challenging me and taking the challenge.
Nice.
I should have claimed his and kept it as a trophy.
Yeah. Well,
I didn't
hopefully
even
he
think
comes to
about it.
lock and load, and that can happen.
Yeah, I think when it
'Cause,
comes to
that's
lock,
fair, right?
I'm gonna contact him. I'm gonna be like, dude, you owe me your source. I want your Sorcerer bust. Like, you
Yeah,
give me
like
yours.
whenever you challenge someone to a paint off, you like no matter who wins, who loses,
Well,
you should just trade models.
I've got
if it's the same model.
I've got more set up. Like, I think it was a really fun, really cool idea, and I've had a couple people express that they would really like to do this against me. So I think I'm going to do it again, maybe even at Lock and Load. I don't know, maybe. I think the goal would be 2-hour paint challenge, and then I get to keep your bust, and you can keep my bust. I'm just claiming trophies. It's like ears and nom or something. I don't know.
Bryce Coconor?
Coconor, that's his name. Yes, that's awesome.
I mean-
Thank you, Jason.
I feel like I was stepping into a minefield trying to pronounce anybody's last name, but hopefully that's pretty close.
Yeah, I think that's pretty close. Bryce was a super sweet dude and sat there and for 2 hours just painted against me. Even though I gave him a hard time and tried to throw pit traps in front of him.
Well, it's no fun if you don't play, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't get too crazy, trust me, but we definitely were having a good time and funning each other and giving each other crap on our paint jobs and stuff like that.
Karen asks if you'll be able to stream any of the paint challenges, and while at Lock and Load, Dallas and I still have to go over all the schedule details, but he has access to stream on Facebook Live at any time, basically.
Yeah, we're still working out streaming details of Lock and Load, I believe. But if I do want to Lock and Load, I'll definitely try to stream it, and I'll coordinate with John to make sure I'm not going over top of anything and all
And
that.
that schedule should be available soon. And when I say soon in this instance, I actually mean actual soon.
Actual soon?
Within a week or two, I think.
Like for really real soons.
I believe so.
Like for real soons.
Wargaming with Luck God says that Dallas may have the Filthy 5, but they have the Lucky 14 Trencher Company of Iron Squad.
Ooh,
I wanna see it.
14.
I mean, send some pictures over. I want to see the Lucky 14.
John, where do people send pictures?
All they have to do is just if they put it up on Instagram, Facebook, or on Twitter, all they have to do is just put the hashtag Play It Painted.
And then we will see it. And we might even share it, right? I don't want to.
Any chance I get.
Okay, cool.
Nice.
Show me what you got. Get your paint on. Paint some trenchers, paint some Cador dudes. Maybe even Grimkin. Or even Convergence. I just named a bunch of War Machine, not Hordes, but just do Hordes too.
Grimkin is hordes.
Oh, Grimkin is Hordes. I did it right. Or Trolls, or Scorn, or Gators, or Circle, or Legion. Or top secret stuffs and things I don't know, and Protectorate of Minoths, and Crucible Guards. Now I'm just rambling.
Yeah,
Luck God speaks the truth, though. We do, in fact, share a lot of their stuff because they include the hashtag and they go one step further and actually tag us in the post,
Nice.
which makes it even easier for me to find the stuff.
Do they
Well-
go one step closer to the edge?
so long as they don't go over the edge.
Because then I'm about to break.
Or over the top.
Oh!
Told you.
Stallone reference.
Menachem Golan reference. Anything from Canon Film Group. We can't get sued by them. They're out of business now, right?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think if anything, they like have to give us a check.
Because we're the only people advertising.
Correct.
So Dallas, Roxy
Yo.
says that she's looking forward to painting up some of her Legion models at Lock and Load.
Okay.
You gonna hang out and paint some models with Roxy?
Sure.
Nice.
I like
Anyone
Roxy.
that wants to, that we have the whole hobby lounge.
Yeah.
We do have a whole hobby lounge.
We have a whole hobby lounge
I haven't seen the map yet. I don't know where it is in relation to the RPG area.
nearby.
Nearby?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh,
Get some
man.
tacos. You down for some tacos?
I'm always down for tacos.
Those have been like my salvation at Adepticon for the last 2 years. Little
Tacos.
Yeah, like tacos adobada. Oh man, it's great.
Mm.
There's nothing better than a convention with street tacos.
Taco onomatopoeia.
Close enough.
So Seth Conrad wants to know what the first Privateer Press model you painted was.
Sorsha 1 out of the black and white box
Nice.
15 years ago. Are you kidding? Like, well, yeah, it was right when War Machine first came out in the store. I bought the Kador battle box. So I had Sorsha and a Juggernaut and a Destroyer, the old ones, and I painted the Sorsha first. Like I just went straight there.
So I already know the answer to this, but what was the first model you painted for Privateer Press?
Well, wait, what do you mean? Like,
Well,
Like as a staff member
as a staff member or as a freelancer?
Ooh, I want both.
that you got paid to paint.
As a freelancer, my first model I painted was, I screwed up, didn't put it on Scorn Red. As a freelancer, the first thing I did was no quarter. I remember the no quarter. Do you remember? Is that dumb that I remember the no quarter?
No, not at all. I remember my first no quarter.
Okay, no quarter 55,
Nice.
and I did some precursor knights.
Nice. Okay.
And they
I
were-
think I actually remember that
Do you
issue.
remember them?
Yeah.
They were gold and they had blue
Yeah.
waves on
Yeah,
the shields.
no, I do remember those.
I was up all night and I repainted those shields 3 times because I screwed them up, and I was so nervous and such a wreck that I was screwing up the first paid gig I ever had.
Right.
And I was trying to impress Ron Cruzy, of course, right?
Sure.
And trying to do a good job, that I repainted those shields 3 times.
Did you say
And when-
Cato Red base or Cato Red highlight?
Scorn Red.
Storm
Red.
Scorn Red.
Neither.
But yeah, it was a unit of precursors. And then as a staffer, it was a Firefly.
Mm-hmm.
And it was,
You're moving the camera on me, bro.
yeah, I bumped it, so I tried to fix it. But I don't, how's that?
You should have it on your screen.
That's good. As a staffer, it was a Firefly. That was my practice model, like, kind of. And then my first official studio model was Barathrum.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a dope model.
That model's super dope. I love that model so much.
Yeah, there's something real special about trying to impress with your freelance gigs, right? Like, you will bend over backwards on an early freelance job.
Oh, dude.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember my first freelance for Privateer was No Quarter 45, the Tools of the Trade article for Ike RPG. And I think I wrote that thing maybe 4 times before I finally turned it over.
Yeah, I mean, when I did it, I felt kind of silly, like repainting those shields. But in hindsight, I was just like, it was just the right thing to do, right?
yeah, totally.
The shields didn't look the way I wanted them to look, and they weren't representative of my ability. And it was just nerves, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's all it was. It was just nerves. It was just me being nervous. So going back and fixing them a couple times wasn't that big of a deal.
Ed
Yeah,
wants to
just
know
the
how
right
many
thing.
battle group boxes you painted.
That's a funny question. Are you talking about studio battle boxes or just battle boxes in the general sense of literal battle boxes? Because literal battle boxes, I've painted over 500.
Sweet Jesus. I've painted like 8.
I think I've completed painting 1 and half finished 6.
Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3, Signar. Mark 2, Mark 3, Rhett. Mark 3, Kador.
I'm pretty sure it's 500.
Mark 2, Crix. I'm forgetting one.
Dude, I don't know why you're looking at me. I have no idea.
I have no clue.
Mark, original Legion box.
Oh, wow.
That's
Nice.
the it one.
Nice.
I did a shoot load
Shoot load?
of.
Good cover.
They just came down the chute, and
Yeah.
he had to paint
Oh,
them.
yeah. No.
I did a bunch of them for Privateer Press on commission before I worked here for retail support.
Oh, yeah.
project.
Dude, they're still kicking around.
They are still
Yep.
kicking. They're still in stores.
Yeah.
I painted all those battle boxes, and it was a lot of battle boxes. Ed's asking that question. Ed, it was a ton, wasn't it? Like Ed was here whenever I did that. Just tons of models all over the place that I just painted for Privateer Press, and just I did tons of battle boxes, tons. And then I did over half of the Mark III battle boxes for the studio.
I mean, it's the practice portion of the 3 plus
Patience,
1
practice,
keys,
and-
right?
Yeah, patience, practice, perseverance.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
Painting those hundreds of battle boxes is obviously contributing to the skill level you have now.
oh, dude, absolutely 100%. I learned so much from painting those battle boxes. Like, I could paint 10 Kador battle boxes in a day. This is like you learn so much and you infer so much and just doing stuff over and over and over and over and being like, okay, well that doesn't look super good, but the next batch is gonna look great.
Hey, Raven has a good suggestion. Do you ever paint a same model as a benchmark to compare where you are now versus another point in your painting career?
That's a really good idea. I've not done it yet. I would like to do it. I can pretty much compare across models though.
Well, yeah, because if you paint a Helljack or something like that versus Barathrum or
Sure.
any of those kind of things.
Or even just, I mean, I can look at Barathum and like Kador Warjack I painted recently and be like, okay, I can see the techniques that I applied and the things that worked and the things that didn't. And,
So Andrew wants to know, Andrew DeRoma wants to know what your favorite color and effects to do on a model are.
my favorite color is done.
Excuse me.
Literally my favorite color. Oh, I love done. Finished is the best.
I do have a model that I use as a benchmark, though. But it happened by accident because I needed to replace one. And that's the Thunderhead.
Nice.
Yeah, that happens a lot. So, favorite color, favorite effects. Favorite color to paint with is probably
Too
white.
slow. I like browns.
I like painting whites a lot. Just because it's such an interesting learning curve. But once you break the code, you kind of get it.
Real quick, are you a cool white or a warm white?
Both. I kind of like them both.
Okay.
I think they both have their place and both definitely have a very unique feel.
I feel like warm white is a little bit easier, so that's where I tend to go more often.
Sure.
Interesting. I actually go the other way.
What about favorite effect, though?
Favorite effect is anything glow. I love putting glow effects on stuff. I love the look of some sort of glowy eyes or turbines or whatever, anything like that. I love that stuff a lot.
And I think that's one of the reasons why I went with Signar as my first army. It's a similar thing, is all that electricity and all of that energy seemed like a fun challenge versus some of the other glow effects.
For me, it was Circle because I love leather, like the
The
when
texture.
when you can get that really lustrous look to leather, sort of like the leather that Brendan was painting last week.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it
that
just-
was amazing.
It just, I don't know, it adds so much verisimilitude to a model. It makes me really happy to see when people do
There's the
good,
guts I love.
complex leathers.
Well, and what was really neat is because I was in the room, I got to look at the model up close. The camera doesn't even like it looked great on camera, but the camera did not do it justice.
Sure.
Like, getting to pick that model up, like I could have sat there and like stared at the gradients within the blending and stuff for hours.
Oh yeah.
Hours and hours and hours and hours.
Seth Conrad says that Grimkin looks jacked. I mean, they're not gonna just let any gremlin ride around on their living weapon, right? They got to
Right.
choose a good one.
Yeah, he's got to be semi-swole.
Semi-swolled.
So I actually really like the gremlin as sort of the jockey on Holden's
Yeah,
back.
because whenever like his actual personality maybe starts to bleed back through, like he starts to kind of remember who he is. The gremlin just kind of stabs him a bunch.
Well, the gremlin has the bayonet, so it can sort of like direct him and
like
force
left,
him further.
left.
Yeah, it's like a Haw dagger. But the gremlin also has that coin, which when we were writing the organized play fiction was really critical to Holden as a character and started
It's
to
like courage and coward, right?
yeah, exactly. It represented sort of the duality of the character, and it's actually worked its way into his rules in multiple different ways. In this particular instance, it's how you determine which effect the weapon attachment will grant for the round.
Yeah.
But it's done
Which
some
plays
nice
into
stuff.
like the kind of thing that Grim can have going with him with the Arcana and stuff like
yeah,
that.
that sort of uncertainty.
Very, very chaotic.
I just like his little belly.
You like his little belly?
He's adorable.
The jaws on the gremlins and the jaw lines, that is, on the gremlins and like the whelps.
Mm-hmm.
I love them. Like,
Yeah.
they're just
So Andrew wants to know: is the gremlin separate when you build the model?
His legs are attached to Holden's shoulders.
But you're telling me that I could theoretically get like a Crucible Guard Bayless and have that gremlin just popping out the top?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Well, he's part of the backpack.
I'm going to file that for later.
He's connected to the backpack.
anything is possible with a hobby knife, some files,
And
some
determination.
and some aluminum putty.
And some rotary tool.
Sure.
You can get a lot done with a rotary tool.
Any kind of Dremel or rotary tool, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. There's a lot to be done there.
Lots.
How much paint do you eat every painting session, Dallas?
Not much. If I'm eating paint, I'm doing it wrong.
You've almost drank a lot of paint, though. Like, you got your paint water mug and your drinking mug dangerously close together.
No,
I've
you
never
keep
seen
them
them
separate. You
Yeah,
can't
they're
keep
on
them
opposite
separate.
ends of the table.
If you have to reach for it, it's your coffee. See?
So Seth Conrad asks, Holden got betrayed. How did he make poor choices? Well, his entire arc is about him starting on a poor choice. He let his friend Wyatt die, like afraid and alone, because he was himself cowardly, right? Everything was in question up until the Battle of Boar's Gate, but there was a reason that he was on that path in the first place. Like, he didn't make the right choice when it was presented with him, and there's just a cascading effect from there on out.
Personally, I like the inside HQ, the divisiveness between who was rooting for Holden to be a hero and who was rooting for Holden to become hollow.
Mm-hmm.
And I like how we were all kind of rooting for one way or another.
It was a pretty good split too. Like it wasn't at least all the people I talked to, it wasn't overwhelmingly one way or the other.
I absolutely wanted him to be redeemed.
I wanted Merc. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know you, me, and Hungerford wanted Mercenary Holden.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure Pagani wanted Grimkin Holden.
Right.
Dallas, where were
No,
you at?
Pagani was on redeemed.
Was he?
Yeah,
I thought he was on
I
Grimkin
did.
too.
Well, then he may have changed his mind.
I'm pretty sure he was redeemed.
Yeah.
Because I play tested a version of Hollow Holden where Pagani was using him in his Grimkin force, and it was utterly broken.
Mm-hmm.
And Pagani was like, "Yeah, I want him to go Grimkin."
Interesting.
So he may have changed his mind at some point.
I mean, like, I'm not mad with him going Grimkin because I like...
Oh yeah, no, it's a great story.
Yeah, exactly. I like where everything ended up, but the potential of him kind of being a cursed wanderer, like an Azaherus style figure, figure who always had to go to where the Grimkin were, despite him not wanting to do war, having to do it, I thought would be kind of an equally good culmination for the character.
Like, I'm not disagreeing.
But then we wouldn't have had the little gremlin riding his back with a dagger.
Exactly. Look at that gremlin.
Look at his belly, Dallas.
I love his belly. I love his belly so much. So adorable. He's all up there just all happy, stabbing people, flipping coins.
Roxy would like to see another setting-wide event like Holden's Fall.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
would
that'd
I.
be cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
I don't think anybody here is going to argue with that.
nope.
Totally agree. Totally agree. Does Roxy follow?
Does Roxy follow what?
Our stories and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, like I do a lot of writing in the living room, so she has.
So she's stuck with you.
She's aware. Yeah.
She's clued in.
She's clued, so,
She's
so clued in that I'm sure that she's tired of being clued in sometimes
Sure.
because I'll bring her over and like, what do you think of this paragraph?
That's amazing.
Karen wants to know if you have a trick to bringing out wood grain, or do you just dry brush it with lighter brown?
Yeah, I kind of went fast backwards on this one.
It looks like he kind of went pretty dark first.
Yeah, I went dark first, and that's not the way I really ever want to do it. I don't know why I did it. I was kind of going. I had a color on my brush and decided to put it somewhere, I guess. I typically paint a very mid-tone color, very light mid-tone, and then I bring in a bunch of very bright wood grain lines, and then I use washes or glazes to tie them all together and create the darkness. So
To create the darkness.
create the darkness. I know why, because I didn't grab a light brown. Let's see if I got a light brown. Let's see if I can fix this. Let's do this real
So
quick.
like gun core or
Guncore or Beast Hide. Either one of those are really good. I'm going to go with Beast Hide. No, I'm going
That
to go
makes
with
me really
Guncore.
happy because he was hovering over the icon for Guncore.
I'm going with Guncore.
you changed your mind
I
again?
changed my mind.
Of course, after I click Beast Hide.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put some Guncore on here. So let's just do this wood. Because this is pretty gnarly wood. Man, do I really want it this color? Kind of.
You should
Actually,
switch
it
it back
looks
to
pretty
Beast
good.
Hide real quick. No.
Yeah, we're going to go with something like this. This will be fine. This will work. So and then I would use metal white highlight to paint in all the little wood grain lines.
Mhm.
And then I glaze it. And then the glazes are usually,
Are you gonna have any moss growing on like the edges of the weapon? On the-
I'll definitely put greens in there.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
really.
just that branch looks like it needs like a little bit of lichen or moss or something.
Yeah.
on it. Like it's a piece of deadfall that he just picked
Yeah.
up off the moldy ground.
It's definitely dead. So
But like moldy dead.
moldy dead.
Not just like
Not
you
just normal dead. Moldy dead.
know,
that's the name of my horror punk band, The Moldy Dead.
And it's really funny because I wasn't actually present for the concept panel except for like 2 minutes at Lock and Load. But the fact that they added that kind of gnarly tree trunk to the stock of his rifle earlier in the league, I think it was the third installment of the fiction. There's a moment where Holden doesn't have his weapon at all, and he has to defeat a pharaoh, and he just grabs this rotten piece of wood off the ground to bash the pharaoh's face in. So I like that they
that element.
yeah, that element is still in there.
That's his pharaoh bashing stock.
No, if you look at the concept art that they produced, it's actually something that Grimkin did to repair his rifle. Maybe deliberately to antagonize him. I don't know.
Sure.
But yeah,
Pulled it out of said bashed pharaoh and
there's no
stuck it on there.
there's no intentional action being taken by Holden at this point, right?
Right, because he's hollow.
Mostly hollow.
Right.
Like, I don't know if it really reads on screen, but he does have that one human eye still.
Yeah, he
like there's
does.
just a little scrap of humanity left in him.
Which
like
is why
he's
the Filthy
aware.
Five want him back.
He's still in there. We can rescue him.
It's like he's aware of what he's doing, but has no control of what he's doing.
Yeah, exactly. He's a passenger in his own body.
That's
And-
terrifying.
Oh yeah.
It's a rule story.
I don't like this anymore.
Yeah, but you have to have something for your filthy five to fight for.
My Filthy Five fight for good.
Fight for justice.
I think you need like an eagle scrawl every time you mention the Filthy Five.
Ah! I'm in. Sign it up. Tony. Tony's not here. Tony. Tony's not here. Dang it.
We just need like
Tony!
a morning radio soundboard.
One day.
One day.
One day.
Okay.
One day the budget will allow me to have a soundboard.
Dallas and John in the mornings. Toilet flush.
No, the men's room on
Oh,
the
sure.
local radio station already has the
Oh,
toilet
well.
flush thing.
We'll find our own thing. It could be like a foghorn, privateer press, or
No foghorns. No. No, none of that.
Oh, man. You're just shooting me down.
Yeah, yep.
I don't actually listen to a lot of morning radio, so I don't know what our options are.
I liked the one that was on Family Guy. Dingo and the baby.
Where'd the chat go? You made it vanish.
Well,
I
because
don't
I
wanna
was
see.
letting Dallas see what he was doing.
Oh, okay.
I got time goggles on. I see all.
All right, what do we got?
Alec, the Filthy Five does not fight for money. Like they no, they don't not fight for money.
They fight for good.
They're convicts. They get sent on dangerous missions that no one else, that they would never give anybody else in the actual Signarin military. So they are suicide mission.
So, Von Heiliger asked me what real-world language is closest to Leolese. I always think French. I mean, it depends on who you talk to because we don't actually have a dictionary of Leolese around here. But like,
Well-
French is definitely a component. But I also have a lot of like Welsh mixed in when I'm naming things from Lale because they've got all those extra like double L's and Y's and stuff.
Like, and real world analogs don't really work,
Yeah, exactly.
right? It's like when people talk about like Russian and Kador, and they're like, oh, in Russian this would be this. And so it's like, well, that's fine and dandy, but this is not Russian.
Yeah, exactly.
This is Kardic.
Yeah. And, you know, there have been times when we've had stories where people just use Russian words
Yeah.
and we use them as a starting point, but we'll modify them a little bit.
Yeah, but it's not really Russian. It's
Yeah.
an analog. It's a basis for you to understand, right?
Yeah.
Am I making sense? Am I saying that right?
yeah, I think so.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
But even like Kador, right? Kador isn't Russia.
Right.
It has some of that imperialist vibe, and you know, some dudes wear a hat that looks like an Ushanka, but it's not Russia. It's Kador.
It's Kador.
And
It's literally different.
yeah, and all of the cultures in the IK draw inspiration from numerous different avenues, right?
Yeah. There is no this is this in the real world. It's,
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
very much everything's a hodgepodge mishmash. Like everything has elements from lots of different things.
No, absolutely.
Inspiration is a very deep and multifaceted thing.
And you know, as far as I'm considered, if people are concerned with how Laylee's sounds, they might be running the game. And my go-to when it comes to RPGs is the game at your table is your game.
That's your game.
So Laylee sounds exactly how you want it to in your own game.
I like that.
Well, it's sort of like your 3 Ps, right?
Yeah.
Practice, perseverance, and persistence.
Patience.
Oh my
Patience,
God.
pardon. Oh, come on. Pancakes is the only one that I really remember.
It's the only one that matters.
Uh,
That's not true.
But my version of that is you own the world, right? When you're playing the game, you own the world and you can do whatever you want with it because it's your game.
Yeah. Your army, your way. I mean, that goes deeper than...
Yep.
That goes deeper than just the tabletop army. That goes to
Yeah.
your role-playing game. Like, your army, your way. Like make it your own. Take ownership. We're okay with it.
Mm-hmm. We encourage it, right?
Big time. Yeah, otherwise
Big
things like the Filthy Five wouldn't exist,
Yeah.
right? Like that's the only way that you
Or the
that you
Ember
get
Host,
those kind of
or-
things is having the freedom to do it the way you want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Company of Vine, you do what you want.
A lot of people are being very complimentary about the character design seminar for Holden at Lock and Load last year. I wish I could have been around for more of it so I could speak more informed, but it looks like Doug is in the chat and he was a part of it, so if you have any questions about that, I recommend directing them his way.
Mr. Doug Seacat, ladies and gentlemen, the
Mr.
man with the golden voice.
Douglas Seacat. I was trying to look up the onomastics of his last name, and apparently it's very difficult to find any true origin for the Seacat line.
Oh my.
Yeah.
He's a mystery man.
His entire lineage is a mystery.
He sprang forth from the mind.
Fully formed from a book. He sprang forth fully formed from a book to write a 5,000-word email.
A millennia ago. In a world
Well,
before
technically,
time.
depending on how you define a millennia ago, that could have been 18 years ago.
I mean, that's the last millennium,
Right.
but that's not a millennia ago.
No, but again, if you define each of those as a millennia, you could say that in the last millennium,
Yeah.
that millennia.
See, what you just
was
said
a
there is
thing.
correct, but the
That's
other
not what
one
I
is
said.
not.
I know, I'm having fun.
Oh, you're having fun?
Uh-huh.
Okay. It's like the difference between saying, in the 20th century, which was only a few years ago, versus a century ago. Like those very, very different meanings. This is the hill that I'm going to die on during this live stream.
No need to. 'Cause
I
you're
will be
right.
pedantic.
Have you met me?
Yes.
Where does a pet ant get their water?
Where?
From a well, actually.
Boo.
Seacat sounds like a euphemism for otter. Well, if you've met him.
Are you just trolling him now?
Doug?
Yeah.
Constantly. I don't know if he's actually listening to the stream or if he's just in the chat, but
You know what the three most majestic animals in the world are?
obviously one of them is an eagle.
Dogs.
Dogs are great.
Just doggos.
Yeah, I
just
love
any floof.
dogs.
Otters.
Yep.
Because
Dude, they play.
they play.
They hold hands
They
while they
hold
sleep.
hands. They hold hands.
Otters find a favorite rock for busting open crabs and stuff. And
Yeah.
they keep the rock.
They're like,
it's
look at
their
this.
favorite rock.
This rock sucks. This rock sucks. This rock is dope.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep
All right,
this
what's
rock
three?
forever.
I don't remember now.
Hedgehogs?
Was it
No.
a turkey vulture?
No, hedgehogs they stink.
They do smell.
They get rank, yeah.
Would a Grimkin follower ever rediscover Manos light and grace?
When you set them on fire.
Oh, maybe.
Burn them, burn them, burn them, burn them.
Also, there aren't too many Grimkin followers out there.
No, they don't follow really
No,
so
they're
much
really
as
Unless you're
recruited.
talking about the Grimkin form of the Twilight Sisters. That's an exception.
That's yes.
But
Or like what, Carry On a Rose.
yeah, Carriana Rose is not what I'd call a follower so much as like the Grimkin enjoy her presence and she enjoys theirs. But I don't think there's
So
a lot.
not quite like a cultist.
No,
more
there's
just
not a lot of belief in it.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
But I don't think that they have followers in a traditional sense. And all the people who have become Grimkin are,
There's no cult to the fires.
like there's no Beauty and the Beast moment where some golden light shines down and then suddenly you turn back into a person. At least
You're
not
people
that we're
again.
aware of.
Not in the Iron Kingdoms. The Iron Kingdoms is a terrible place to live.
It is a horrible place to live.
Sorry, reading the chat real quick.
Yeah, same.
Did we ever figure out when this guy comes out?
No.
No, but Schick is out of his meeting.
I think we should figure that out.
Gats, you should poke Schick and see if
I
he,
should
if
poke
he has
Schick.
a, if he has
Schick.
the release date.
Shick.
I'll be
Shit.
right back.
Shick.
No,
Why does that never work? Shick.
Because
about
you would
that?
have to be way too loud, and then you'd blow out everybody's eardrums.
I mean, I can get his attention.
I'd prefer you didn't
Y'all
with that
ain't
mic
gonna
right
like
next to
it.
you.
Y'all ain't gonna like it. Matt Getz has now stepped out of the room and is on a mission for he is a man of many missions. A mission of words.
So, while he investigates to see if he can get an answer
Wally.
on that, because there's a chance that he's just, not completely 100% firmed on a date yet. But while he's investigating that, what other stuff should people be aware of as far as this guy's paint job so that he can match with your Filthy Five, but still match with your Ember Host?
Like the basing is super important to that kind of concept. Cohesive basing. Oh, that's gonna. So, the paint job will match the Filthy Five. The basing. He's part of the Grimkin army, so the basing is for the Grimkin army. So it's just a little crossover event happening right there.
And I'm back
Matt has returned.
with news. He's released in a month that starts with a J and ends with an Ulai.
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 Yeah.
J. Ulai.
J Ulai.
January lie.
January Lie is the month that he releases.
Nailed it.
Lousy smarch weather.
Well, we're on our hour. We should talk about things that need to be talked about. So, one thing I want to talk about real quick is if you're coming to Lock and Load,
Which you should be doing.
which you should be doing, or if you're coming to Gen Con,
Which you should also try
which
to
you
do.
should also be doing. The P3 Grandmasters rules have been updated. All the categories have been updated, and we have added busts as their own category. You can find the rules for the P3 Grandmaster at privatepress.com. We can put some links up. I think John's actually doing it right now.
I am looking for a thing right now, yes.
But I want to tell people that the cool thing about the Grandmaster is it's a open category, or it's an open judging system. So what that means, in case you're not in the know, is what that means is everybody that enters, you're going to be judged against yourself. So everybody who deserves a bronze medal will win a bronze medal. Everybody who deserves a silver medal will win a silver medal. Everybody who deserves a gold medal will get a gold medal. And then we'll take all the gold medals, of course, and then we'll pick the category winners, and then all the category winners will pick a Grandmaster. And we're going to give them some really sweet prizes. But I think today's topic was inspiration and motivation.
I think so.
And so on that note, just from personal experience and my own story, since we're talking about that, the P3 Grandmaster was how I got to where I'm at as a painter. I used it as a benchmark at every painting competition to challenge myself to be better than the last thing I entered. So the very first thing I entered, I got a bronze, right? I'm just like, I got a bronze. All right, cool, I got a bronze. But what I got, and what you're going to get if you come and enter the P3 Grandmaster, is more than just a medal, and more than just the chance for prizes or accolades of your friends, family, and grandmothers. Is what grandmas give the best accolades.
They do.
Accolade cookies.
Cookies. So much lunchtime.
Is feedback. And learning how to take feedback, learning how to take criticism is very essential to growth.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're going to get if you come to the P3 Grandmasters, you're going to get feedback. You're going to get feedback from me. You're going to get feedback from Brendan. You're going to get feedback from Mr. Ron Cruzy.
Maybe even Jordan.
Maybe even Jordan. Who knows?
Maybe even Danny Samuels if you're working on terrain stuff.
If you're working on terrain stuff, which is not part of Grandmaster.
No, but you can do your basing.
Not part of Grandmaster. We're talking about Grandmaster.
Okay, fine.
I'm specifically talking about Grandmaster. Because that's the event. Come to Grandmaster is you're going to get critiques. You're going to get criticism. And you're going to get feedback. You're going to also get accolades what you did right. And you take that knowledge and you take it with you forward to next year. And you just keep pushing yourself to be better and better as a painter with that patience, practice, and the perseverance. So definitely, even if you feel like, well, I can't win, like that's okay. Come and show me your model at the P3 Grandmaster. Enter. Maybe you'll get a bronze. You don't know. And but you'll get the feedback and you'll get the knowledge of where you're at and what you can do to become the painter you want to be. right? Maybe you don't want to be a studio painter. Maybe you don't want to be a display painter. Maybe you don't want to be a competition painter, but maybe you just want to hit high tabletop, right? So you're like, hey, this is my model. How do I get high tabletop? And I'll be like, cool, high tabletop. Let's talk about what that means and what that means for you. That is the benefit of entering in the P3 Grandmaster. That is the reward of entering in the P3 Grandmaster, is letting me help you reach the goals you want to reach. So come to Lock and Load.
Yeah.
pplockandload.com.
I just wanted to say, like, you've given me feedback on my painting, and like, I'm not trying to paint at any elevated level. I'm just trying to be better painting the stuff that I paint.
Right.
And one thing that I really appreciate is you're not a feel-good critic. That you're not like unfeeling or cruel or callous or anything, but you don't sugarcoat any of the information that you give me. If you see something that you say you need to work more on X, Y, or Z, you'll do that.
Yeah.
Well, and it's definitely not mean-spirited. Like, it is not a crushing critique. It is a useful critique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you ask for the crushing technique, I'll give it to you. Like, that's just fact.
I don't need that in my life.
Yeah. I'm having too good a day. Dallas, crush my soul.
But there's the thing is, like, I asked that of Ron Cruzy. Like I said, I don't want the sugar coat. And I don't want the nice one. I don't want the compliment sandwich. I want you to go straight for the throat, rip out the jugular.
Right.
And he did that. And that's the way my brain works for me. If that's not how it works for you, just come up and just get your critique, and let's get you to the level you want to be at. That's all I want, is just to help people get to the level they want to be at. I love helping people.
All right. Well, on that note, it is pretty much time to go get lunch.
Oh, it's lunch. Lunch 30.
It is lunch o'clock.
It's
putting down my
cheap
brush.
sandwich day.
I'm putting my brushes down.
Oh, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Hopefully you will be able to hang out with us next week as well for Get Your Paint On Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific Time, and Weekly Rumble and Dev Hangout, which are also at 10 a.m. Pacific Time, but on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yeah, Weekly Rumble, where you get to watch your Privateer Press staffers play games and entertain you. And then the Dev Hangout, where you get to listen to the Dev talk about Dev. Where you get to listen to Hungerford talk about games, and listen to Will Pagani talk about games.
And then, of course, next week is special. It's the first Friday of the month, so that means Primecast live on Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Time, which you'll basically get to see everyone.
Not
More or
everybody.
less.
Not
More or less.
everybody. We have
Lots
large
of
staff that don't get
Yes.
to make it on.
There's a 10 o'clock meeting, man.
Yes, I'm aware. You will get to see a lot of people. Alrighty, folks. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Patience, practice, perseverance. Get your paint on. Keep on painting every day. Get your paint on. Every day you paint your miniatures. Every day you make a base. Get your paint on. Boo-doo-doo.